But I thought the recently passed law that had to do with the delivery of the justice delivery system, I thought that was supposed to take care of these incessant orders being given out in court.
What do you do to judges who will give orders? And let me also add, concerning this Senate president, when the issue of the forgery came out, Justice Gabriel Kolawole of the Federal High Court also made such an order. Police cannot investigate. And I said, you know, in the case of Fayemi and IGP concerning same Bola Tinubu over the certificate forgery allegation, the assumption was that once you have immunity, once you are covered by immunity, you cannot even be investigated. And Chief Gani Fayemi of Blessed Memory pursued that point to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, how dare you say that? That, as a matter of fact, it may be expedient to investigate somebody who has an immunity while the evidence is still fresh, so that you collect your evidence, have your case. Once he drops that toga of immunity, you then proceed against him. Everybody in Nigeria can be investigated. He may not be prosecuted if he has immunity. But now what are we saying? Somebody who has not even occupied any public office that attracts immunity at all will just saunter to the court and say, give me an order. I cannot be arrested. I cannot be investigated. And then that investigation and prosecution body will now have the additional burden of going to that court to be saying, I want to discharge the order. I said, which order do you want to discharge? So we are in a crisis. I'm telling you seriously. If you want to make any progress in this country, this kind of thing, this kind of culture cannot continue. And if I must tell you, the Code of Conduct Tribunal, just to strengthen the point I made earlier, even if you want to be charitable, you said it's on the same level of the judiciary with the Federal High Court. And therefore, that Federal High Court will have no jurisdiction over it. Now, what do I mean by this? For you to be a member of the tribunal, you must be qualified to be a judge of the High Court. So, qualification-wise, the same. Once you are a judge of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, you cannot be removed from that position without 2/3 majority endorsement of the entire National Assembly, Senate, and House of Representatives. In the case of other judges in the judiciary, including the CJN, Chief Justice of Nigeria, it only requires an endorsement of the Senate to have him removed from office. But I'm telling you that for the Code of Conduct Tribunal judges, to have them removed, I'm talking about security of tenure, vis-a-vis what Section 292 provides regarding all the other category of judges. For the ordinary judges, just a recommendation from the NJC will be sufficient, will suffice to have the judge removed.
But
so
you know,
the point I'm making is that if you compare them, that is a special court. For a high court or a federal high court now to say, I'm summoning you, come before me. What are we going through?
You know, we're still, taking from your point, we still want to look at the time. Sorry, Mark, I think Bola Tinubu was during the time of Yaradua, or no, President Obasanjo.
Yes.
Yes. So it could be, I think that was about 4 years after he left office.
Exactly.
And that was not too long.
It wasn't too long.
So when you look at capacity and you're looking at almost 16 years, that we're talking about an individual that has left office, a particular office for the past 16 years, and we're just talking about all of this. Well, as you put it, it's not too late in the day.
Better late than never. There's no bar to criminal liability.
But
you could have killed somebody 30 years ago.
But do you think that the agency or the Code of Conduct Bureau, the Bureau, has the capacity to follow through and through, knowing for we have so many other politically exposed persons for them to beam their searchlight on?
How do you build capacity? If a body is not allowed to work so that its lack of capacity can become manifest, so that proactively and constructively you can then address the issue of lack of capacity. That's how you build capacity. You don't build capacity in the vacuum. Not on the basis of supposition.
And that is what they have given wings to, supposition, because if they had done what they should have done when it was time for them to do it. Listen to the last lawyer. He's saying, the last guest did say, I wanted to put all of this in so that in the context. Yes, he's saying that well, it will amount to what the Senate President in this case had just said, that look, it is totally witch hunting. And if you look at the antecedents leading up to his election, don't you think that the Code of Conduct Bureau has put itself in a very tight corner going by that allegation?
I never knew that witch hunting is a defense in criminal prosecution. I was told in the law school that if you are objecting to a charge, you may say there is no prima facie charge against you. You may plead otrovus convict or otrovus acquit, meaning that I've been convicted for this offense, I cannot be convicted or rearraigned for it again, and so on and so forth. You know, so I wasn't told that witch hunting, the fear that I'm being witch hunted is a defense at law. Look, let's get serious in this country. Anybody can say anything, but you are veiled the due process of law, and you have the capacity. Now you talk about the capacity of the Code of Conduct Bureau. I will even say that some of these persons have more capacity than the Code of Conduct Tribunal. How many prosecutors do they have? But let them go to court. Hundreds of sons will be falling over themselves to defend them. So they have the capacity to defend themselves. It is not right for us to elevate this kind of chicanery to a code of standard practice and say that these are, yes, the rule of law is there. As I have always maintained, these rules of law, you are using the law as a rules. This is not the rule of law I'm familiar with. You have a case in court, go there, defend yourself. At the end of the day, if it is malicious prosecution, sue the state for malicious prosecution and get damages. That is what the law says. This law is being mischievously rewritten, and some of us who are lawyers are just wondering, So really?
But for, you know, you've listed some of the powers of the Code of Conduct Bureau. For a bureau that is that powerful, we haven't seen it exercise the kinds of powers that we think it should be exercising. Exactly.
The Code of Conduct Tribunal is a very powerful body, as I've said earlier. It's a very powerful body. But, you know, the Nigerian state is so structured that power becomes powerlessness. And authority is so diluted, depending on the whims and caprices of those who are in power, that authority cannot be exercised in favor of good causes. Moving forward, I think that it is up to the Nigerian political leadership and ultimately to the Nigerian people who want to rid their country of corruption to encourage their institutions to work in such a way that both the high and low will fear the law. You know, the idea of encouraging a scofflaw, the law cannot do anything. It's not acceptable. Every society that has succeeded on the basis of rule of law and fear of the law.
Perhaps they won't be.
As a matter of fact, in other settled societies, people fear the law more than they fear their God. I'm telling you the truth. So you can't evade tax, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't overspeed. And people fear the law. But in a society where people don't fear the law, anarchy and impunity reigns as the culture. And that's what we are seeing. So for many of the cases that we're talking about that, you know, been dormant all this while, can be brought before the Code of Conduct Tribunal. And believe you me, for you to know that it's a specialized court, the Code of Conduct Tribunal Act and the schedules that I've made mention of, third schedule part 1, fifth schedule, provide that the Code of Conduct Tribunal haven't exercised powers can leave the matter to be dealt with by the regular court in terms of, for example, if somebody stole money and he didn't declare it. Once the code of conduct had exercised power regarding declaration and all that, that person can still be proceeded against in the regular court and be jailed. That's what the law provides. So it's a specialized court. So when you then see